Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Shameless in Chicago. This is your host, Nin.
And I'm Luke, and I don't seem to own one pair of jeans that doesn't have a hole in them.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, I've spent my money on less important things.
Such as?
Mind your business.
I know what those less important things are. He was showing me his credit card, like the statement, and he goes, look, I make a payment, I buy a pizza, I get hit with interest.
Oh, all right. But you know what? Let's start off today with a bit of a funny. I'm going on vacation this weekend with my boyfriend.
He is,
We're going to
yes.
go to Arizona. We have an Airbnb. We have a beautiful pool. And my boyfriend and I have decided that it's going to be a Speedo weekend.
Ooh.
So I told this to my mother because we just talk about the things that mothers should never talk about with their children.
Okay.
And she looks at me and she says, son, do you have the package to fill out a Speedo? I know where you come from. Ma, yes.
She said, I know where you come from.
She's coming from my whole bloodline.
She really is. You know what? I think that's the definition of your father's side of the family is the problem.
I'm sure it's all based on perspective.
What perspective?
My divorced parents' perspective.
Anything to talk smack about your other parent, right?
I mean, you know how it goes, right?
Right.
But you know, given all their flaws, I think I grew up with some pretty great parents.
You did, especially being gay and all. Just kidding.
No, that was a perfect segue. I was that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, especially with you being gay.
Oh, I'm such an issue saying it. So
No, I mean, let's think in a sense that.
Kim.
No, okay. Her name is Kelly Osbourne.
Kelly Osbourne, whatever.
First
She's
of
not
all,
even relevant anymore.
She is actually. Did you hear what happened the other
She's
day?
the Ozempic thing
The
now?
Ozempic.
Oh.
She was like, the only people who are mad about Ozempic are the people that can't afford it.
Damn straight.
Anyways, no. Okay, so our podcast today is about Luke being
Yeah,
gay.
so
that was our segue.
Why are you gay?
Why are you gay?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm gay. So yeah, no, I grew up probably with the best. I grew up with the best parents ever. I was terrified coming out to my father because he, grew up in Humboldt Park back in the old days where it was, not accepted, not acceptable, and not one
Frowned upon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I was terrified. My grandfather took it fairly well, which that was like a coin flip because he's 70 years old.
Oh, wow.
But my mother, she made it very personified within herself. She kind of cried about the loss of a traditional, send off into marriage and all that for her son.
Yeah.
But what was more kind of an upbringing from being gay is the difference it was from living in like a rural area to the suburbs and the city area.
Okay.
So I grew up on survival mode.
Why is
I
that?
thought I was the only gay kid in my entire town. I was not. I actually grew up very closely with two other ones. We were everywhere. Oh, I grew up in a rural area. I grew up in a rural Illinois town. I guess you can't call it too rural if it's on a metro line, but it was still a pretty spread out far town. I grew up unincorporated.
Okay.
I never felt comfortable coming out there until I moved to the suburbs of Chicago because I was in a more accepting high school. And after I came out, there's always some interesting things that were said to me because I kind of kept the homegrown rural boy attitude. It was just something I kind of clung to because I didn't really like the gay stuff.
So you came out when you were 15.
Correct.
And that was in high school. Was that freshman year, sophomore year?
That was a sophomore year. I transferred schools from a rural school to a more suburban school when I was 15 years old. Mm-hmm. And I went on a school trip. If you guys have listened to our podcast, I came out in a text message, a group text.
Yeah, that was
to
hilarious.
my parents. But after that, my life was never the same.
Okay. In what way?
Before I come out, I had convinced myself that I was A, bisexual, and B, going to come out in college. Was not bisexual, and I never went to college.
I was literally going to say neither of those are true.
But so that's kind of how I transitioned. I had a really close cousin. I told her that I was bisexual, and she could not keep her mouth shut.
Oh, that's
for the
great.
life of her, so it was a little bit dodgy back then.
Yeah.
But after I came out, and you don't act a certain way, like I didn't act like what you would put in a stereotypical gay male.
He really doesn't, honestly. I think what stereotypical gay male, you mean like
People
Jeffree
think
Star.
feminine.
Yeah.
People think feminine. People think a bit cushy. People think big burly bears. But that's really a stereotype.
Yeah. And I think also like when Ricky Martin came out as gay.
That is okay. So hold on. Ricky Martin is my hall pass.
Yeah. No, he's so attractive.
I love Ricky Martin.
But when Ricky Martin came out as gay, people were so stunned because he doesn't fit that stereotypical narrative of what being gay is. You know, he's a very masculine man.
Family dynamic totally changed when I came out. My core family, not so much. I think this is something that my parents had braced for.
Is it one of those like, oh, we knew you were gay all
That's
along?
what they say.
Okay.
That's what they say in retrospect. But let me tell you, you're a parent. You're probably in straight denial.
Really?
Through and through. I mean, that's what every parent. That's what I will rephrase that. That's what every parent was kind of conditioned to want for their child, to want them to grow up, normally, quote unquote. Because back then we got beat up.
I know.
We got beat up everywhere.
I know.
But so after I came out and I kind of had this, country boy, whatever attitude, people would start to tell me, oh, well, you don't really act like one of those gays, or, you're one of the good ones.
Yeah.
And used to take it kind of good, but looking back on it, it's really damaging language to throw at a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
It is really offensive.
Yeah.
I didn't feel connected to my community, I think, because I grew up around language like that. I felt like I was an outcast, but I was a rightful outcast. Like I shouldn't have been there.
Okay.
And I was so wrong.
Yeah.
I was so wrong. But for a couple of years, that's just how it was. I had long hair. I was just weird. I was in high school and then third party perspective.
Honestly, I just remember when he told me he was gay, I was very surprised, mainly because we did go to school with a couple of gay men.
We did.
I can think of one in particular.
We had one class, I think, where there was all three of us in one class.
Yeah.
We were separated on each side.
And he was like your stereotypical type of
your Starbucks, Tumblr, Twitter.
He literally was a Starbucks, Tumblr, Twitter type of person. Would be like, "Oh, I can touch your tits because I'm gay."
No,
Remember that?
You cannot touch a woman anywhere just because you're gay.
And Luke would get so mad about that, and he would get so upset about it. And then Luke told me he was gay, and I was just like, "Oh, you're gay? Like you don't act like him."
I was raised in a home where you respect a woman.
Yeah, and like the thing is, and then that put it into perspective to me. I was like, "Oh, I would never let Luke touch my tits just because he's gay, And I was really taken by surprise. And remember when you told that one girl you were gay?
Oh, that was the best day of my life.
That was hilarious.
Oh, so I was in history class one day.
No, it was math class.
Oh,
we were in math class.
I had a couple of these instances then. Oh, wow.
We were in math class and we were waiting to be
released.
Yeah, the bell dismisses us, whatever. So we were waiting and the bell dismisses us and we were like standing around and I don't remember what Luke said or what happened, but this girl in our class said something and Luke was like, "Oh, I'm gay." She goes, "You're gay?"
Yeah, I think she thought I was hitting on her for a semester.
She goes, "I thought you had a crush on me this whole time." And he's like, "Oh God, no, you're not my type."
Can you imagine being so delusional?
She was really into herself.
Yeah,
but
I mean, hey, can't hate the player, right? Go off. She had the confidence for it.
Right. But I think that to put it into perspective for our listeners is that like he really is one of those people that like isn't your quote unquote stereotypical gay, that you'll be really taken by surprise as a third party to learn like, oh, he's gay. And I think it's great because you change the narrative. You flip the script, especially for young people who might be questioning their sexuality, but might feel outed, like they don't belong in the gay community because they don't act a certain way or they don't like certain things,
And let me tell you, you are here. You are welcome in any part of our community. I didn't feel connected at all to my community until I was 18 years old.
Okay.
And I remember this day. It will always be in my head. It was going to my first ever concert. I was going to a Florence and the Machine concert, and I had to work that day. I worked at an electronics store, and there was like TVs everywhere.
Okay.
And part of my Sunday duties is I had to vacuum the floors, make sure it was all clean. I would always do it in front of the TVs because they're playing the news. But that day they were playing news coverage of Pulse Orlando nightclub shooting.
Oh wow.
Where so many of the community were murdered.
Yeah.
And I stood there for so long. I just watching this. It was scary.
Mm-hmm.
I read up on everything. Police officers were going to their social media saying that, they're hearing these people's phones ring because people are trying to make sure their friends and their family are okay, and they're not okay.
Yeah.
So I was invited to a vigil with my cousin and his husband. I had a gay cousin outside of Roscoe's nightclub in Chicago, and I said, I would love to, but I have a concert to go to, blah, 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 because I'm a teenager, 18 years old. I want to go to a concert.
Yeah.
So we went to this concert, and it turned into an entire vigil for this shooting.
Oh, wow.
She actually dedicated a whole song on it on her next album. But in that moment, that's kind of where I decided to say, just because these people don't act like me does not mean that they're less valid than I am.
Yeah. That entire story just gave me goosebumps. It just makes me so sad, knowing that people were killed just for who they love.
Right. And I don't know, what reports we read are true, but it's even thought after that the man who committed this heinous crime was a gay man himself.
I've heard that. Yeah. It was closeted and
I never wanted to end up like that. So
No.
I sought acceptance from my community rather than trying to distance myself from something that wanted me in it. Gay community will accept you in no matter what shape or form. Even if you're straight, you will be accepted as long as you show respect for, you, yourself, one another. There's so much potential in our community, and it gets bogged down by weird stereotypes.
Yeah, I agree.
We get the ones where we're trying to groom kids with library book readings, or that we're going to turn the frogs gay and end the world, or that we're just trying to get kids on TikTok so that way we can add them to. It's not like that. We want to make sure that these young children know that there is a community there for them if they don't feel welcome in their own lives.
I think what's so important, I literally wrote an entire paper on this in college, is the argument of should gay couples be able to adopt children? Oh. And 1,000% yes.
Thank God.
No. Without a doubt, yes, because gay couples are not able to reproduce.
That's just the kind of, we love to try.
Yeah, right. It's just the biology in it, So if you go and, have a kid of your own biologically, you would have to pay tons of money. And it would only be technically your child because it would be your sperm. But I think parents who are gay, whether they're lesbian or gay or whatever the case may be, should be able to adopt because they are able to give a child a loving household. And straight couples are going to evolutionarily want to reproduce because they want their genetics to survive. Unfortunately, when you're gay, you're gay.
Sorry, Mom.
You can't.
The bloodline ends with me.
Yeah, you can't biologically reproduce. So they're less, I guess you could say motivated to want to keep their genetics alive. Whereas a straight couple does. They'll try everything IVF or whatever the case may be. So I think gay couples, it'd be nice for them to continue to adopt children.
Yeah, and we get kids at such weird ages in gay couples. I don't know if you noticed, if we settle down 45, 50 years old, you're yeah, okay, let's get a toddler.
Yeah.
Let's adopt a toddler.
No, literally.
We don't tend to spend our early years homemaking. But I learned a lot just, coming up. I had a lot of catching up to do when I was younger. So I threw myself into the gay culture. And I feel like I kind of lost the identity I was trying to hold as a Polish man in America.
Yeah.
And I just kind of turned into this gay man in America. And I feel so much better.
Yeah, you
I feel like
it.
I can breathe more. I feel like I actually have a culture to celebrate, as bad as that sounds. Sorry, Poland. What I kind of had to learn is that there's also kind of a shocking side to all of this because it's all accepting and wholesome, but there's some really shocking and I want to say somewhat graphic things that go on in the everyday community.
Okay.
So gay people didn't grow up like straight people, especially back in the day. Have you ever heard of cruising?
No, what's that?
So cruising is when you go out into some sort of space and you kind of just give subtle signals to another man. And if he receives those signals and sends them back, you guys find a place even in public to have a private conversation.
I've seen this go down when I've been with you at the bars. I've seen this happen so many times.
Call me out.
I can literally think of the instances where we're at Charlie's and this is happening.
Oh gosh, the good old days.
Oh my gosh. So that's what it's called. It's called cruising.
Yeah, so it's called cruising. And back in the day, it was a lot more dangerous. They did have police officers or investigators kind of go to these areas that were known as cruising spots and act like they were cruising. But once you expose yourself, you're like, hey, you're under arrest.
Oh.
But so I know, and I'm not sure how big it's gotten, but I know it's gone digital. Cruising's gone digital. I'm not just talking Grindr. I'm not talking gay dating apps. I'm talking about websites that pin locations that are prime spots for cruising.
Oh,
so
wow.
that way you have a better chance of success and less chance of being arrested.
So is cruising just for sex?
Cruising is just for sex. Cruising is for sex. Cruising is for it's for physical pleasure.
Okay.
Yeah. There are men who will go into like forest paths and they'll just kind of like act a fool with their pants down. They'll get caught, but sometimes if the person who catches them is into it, they'll keep going with it, or they'll just kind of, you know, jack off on their cars and let people watch. And if people are interested, they'll come by. There was a lot. I've heard of swingers parties, but this like threw a whole wrench. We had whole bathhouses dedicated just to hooking up with a bunch of guys in public.
It's a lot of testosterone.
Oh, yeah.
What I've noticed about the gay community is it's very sex driven.
Yes.
If we're being honest, like it's very heavily sex driven. When I go to the bars with you, guys are basically naked, their asses on me, like, and they're wearing like leather straps over them. There's literally like a piece of like literally a sock covering their private parts.
If you ever go to the Pride Parade, you'll know that some people will just go and they'll wear a leather hammock. I can't even call it underwear because there's nothing covering back there.
That's what I said. Yeah.
It's a hammock. But yeah, no, it is very sex driven. Our culture is very sex driven.
And how does that make you feel?
It used to make me feel uncomfortable. I used to feel uncomfortable that gay culture was a little bit sex driven. But when we are told for decades and decades and hundreds of years that the way we have sex is wrong, it's kind of become this display of, hey, we're going to do it no matter what, so just don't look.
Yeah, the liberation part of it.
Oh, yeah. Maybe a little bit too liberated at times, but to each their own, let's be honest.
Yeah, and I'm going to say something that might be a little controversial.
Ooh.
Do you feel like because the gay community is so openly sex driven / liberated that their message gets lost within the rest of society?
No, I call back a line from Cruel Intentions. Everybody has sex, but nobody talks about it.
Very
true. No matter what, you cannot tell me that behind your own closed doors that you're a little pervert yourself. Just because we flaunt it a little bit more in public does not mean that you've not had these thoughts, these urges, or done these things yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm a very live and let live person.
Okay, that's a solid answer. Very interesting.
Yeah, I cannot find one person who does not have a weird skeleton in their closet, especially sexually.
Oh, 1,000%. And that's why everyone tries to like repress it so much.
Yeah, and that's where I love the gay community. We took that and we said, we're no longer going to repress this because, and all in all, it was killing us. You know, we had to hide. We had to do this. We had to sneak around. We had to, marry women to prove that we weren't gay.
Very true.
None of this should have happened if we were just able to love and let love.
Yeah, and I think that's very important. Another thing that I want you to kind of like talk about is finding the friends who support you. What was that kind of like?
So there are people who will find out you're gay and their instant response is almost like pity.
Yeah. Oh,
They'll
really?
say, oh, it's no big deal to me. It's okay. It's okay. I have no problem with you guys. Just blah, 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 blah. I can't stand a person who just can't keep their cool.
Yeah.
And that's a person who I don't think I can stay around because for one, I don't care. I don't care if you accept me.
Yeah.
I accept myself. My community accepts me. I don't care if some stranger in a backwards hat accepts me.
Yeah.
And then there's people who will, like you'll go out and you'll experience this side of life with me. You'll be able to say, hey, let's go out to Charlie's until 4 a.m. I've had friends who say, hey, let's go to the gay strip club because it's more fun. It's just people who use you as a token are not people you want to have in your life.
That's very true. Especially nowadays, I feel like gay people are being used as tokens for some people.
They are. I've actually had coworkers even utter the words, being gay is cool now. And I say, no, it's not cool. I'm sure it's cool. We are cool. We're a great people.
Yeah.
But we just don't have much more reason to hide anymore.
All right. It's more accepted.
Yeah. And you'll see like, there's a big spectrum, you'll have guys come out and they're just a little bisexual. You'll have guys come out and they say, oh, I just like sucking dick, but I have a girlfriend. I don't want her to know about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
These things exist. These people
really
are
do.
people you work with every day. They're the people that you walk past on the street. These are the people in your house. The sooner that we learn to accept these people, the sooner that you're going to see that they're so much happier being who they are.
Yeah. Yeah. And that also brings me to the point is that like, I'll go to Charlie's with you and I'll go to these places with you because I support you and I want you to be happy, right? Like Luke won't take me if he has like a gay friend who will experience it with him, right? But he'll be like, Nen, look, I really just want to party until 5 o'clock in the morning. Will you do this with me? And I'll be like, you know what? This is something you want to do. You have nobody else who's willing to do it with you. I will do it with you. Like, I'm here for you. For his birthday, he wanted to go to, what is it called? The markets?
My birthday falls pretty much every year on Market Day weekend.
Yeah.
Market Days weekend, which is my favorite weekend of the year. I actually go a little apeshit myself. I'll walk around the street shirtless.
You will.
I'll drink. I don't drink, but I'll drink.
But I love it. It's like the one day you see him just kind of like let go and let loose and be like
gay.
Yeah.
I'll be gay.
Yeah, he'll be so gay that
Even my
day.
boyfriend thinks I'm too gay. But and you know what I found out past 21? Mm-hmm. Straight clubs suck.
Really?
Straight clubs. Okay, we've been to Tao.
Yeah.
But that's a nightclub you pay $50 to get into. It's going to be great. And if it's not great, you need your money back. But we've been to other straight clubs together.
Yeah.
And the amount, I can see the floor at a straight club.
Yeah, of course.
I can see the floor. Mm-hmm. I can't see the floor at a gay club because everyone's moving and dancing and, it's a fun time. When I'm at a straight club, I feel like it's a chore. No one wants to be there. In a straight club in Chicago, Nen and I waited in line, I think, for 30 minutes, and it was a Friday night.
Oh, yes.
Friday night, Saturday night, weekend, busy night.
Yeah.
Waited 30 minutes in line. This one security guard walking up and down the line, checking all of us for drugs over and over and over again. Yeah. He did find one guy with a backpack full of weed, though. And we get up to the front, and I'm in my club gear. I'm in my shorts. I'm in my shoes.
Yeah.
I'm in my tank top. I get stopped because I'm wearing a tank top. And I say, "What do you mean I can't wear it? It's a nightclub. I can't wear a tank top to this nightclub? No, I can't." We went to go buy a shirt.
Yep.
And then
we got back.
Nen tries to get us to the front of the line.
Yes.
And say, "Look, he bought a shirt. We bought a $17 t-shirt for tourists at a Walgreens."
No, literally.
I still couldn't get into this club. This man just said, "No, you can't come in here."
And by that point, the club had died down.
And so what we did is that we walked our asses over to Boys Town, which is maybe 2 blocks, 3 blocks, half a mile.
Yeah, from Wrigley and Boys Town, it's like literally 2 blocks away.
And I think I wore even less clothes when we got into those bars.
You did.
So I don't understand why gay culture is seen as so wrong when everything feels so right and so fun and everyone wants to have a good time.
It's so much fun. Like, gay clubs are liberating. Like, you can really be like your lawless self. Like, society doesn't give a shit. Like, you're not, and then it's like you're just being yourself almost. Like, if like judgment and laws and all that, it's like, yeah, make out with whoever, who cares? It's like it's so dirty, but in a fun way if you're smart about it.
Yeah, there are bathrooms that have a bunch of urinals and toilets, and I do say toilets with no stalls around them.
Yes.
But then again, there's also go-go dancer boys who will pour shots of Fireball into your mouth upon entering a bar without even showing an ID. So it's its own fun animal.
It is an animal, but it's fun. Whereas if you go somewhere like Tao or like just like any straight like club or whatever, it's very like, ooh, how do I look? Like, let me make sure to like,
And then you get punched in the face by some drunk asshole.
I actually, I went with my cousin. Some drunk asshole freaking pushed me. And I was pissed. I almost punched him in the face.
That's what you got to do. These men at Tao don't know how to act.
My sister actually punched somebody in the face on New Year's because he touched her ass and she punched him straight in the nose.
I'm so proud of her. Oh, I love her.
I know. But like at gay clubs is like giving you the looks. Are you into this? And honestly, it's like men and women. They'll give you the look. And like I've had women look at me like, you into this? And I'm like, sorry, I'm not. I'm here supporting him.
I'm here supporting him.
I'm like, I'm just here to like sing and dance and have a good time and listen to like Love Story by Taylor Swift.
Oh my gosh. And then she gets every other Taylor Swift song. But did you ever notice there's a boob tax?
What?
There's a boob tax in Boys Town.
Really?
Oh yeah. I have a friend of mine who he's no longer with us because he moved to California. You stupid bitch. And we used to get pictures of like Long Island's or Blue Motherfuckers or anything that could really just get us truly drunk for like $9. Mm-hmm. So, a drink in the city like that, a pitcher, that's going to cost you an easy $22. And I've seen girls buy these same drinks. We had a mutual friend of ours, a girl went out.
Oh.
She went out with us. And, my buddy and I, we had bought couple of drinks. She had bought the same drinks, and I think she was charged double
Oh.
of what we paid her because she had to pay the boob tax.
Oh, that's not nice.
I know.
That's not
I took
fair.
my mother to Boys Town one time.
And
I could hardly get her out. She thought she saw every cute bartender and said, Luke, why don't you do this? Why don't you go bartend? You make $1 million, and say, Ma, you didn't raise me to pour a drink. I don't know how to do this.
yeah, no, it's a lot of fun.
But I definitely think if I had stayed in the closet or if I had maintained that course of coming out in college, I think my life would have been on a much sadder trajectory. I think I would have been so far behind. I think I would have been so resentful of my own community. I'm glad I came out. I'm glad I had the influences growing up when I did. I only had one person, or I had two people to look to when I was growing up. And that was my cousin and his husband.
Yeah.
And they lived states away, or they lived so far away that I couldn't see them. So I had one shining ray of hope. I had one thing that I said, I can become something like this, then I think I've made it, and I think I can be okay with myself. I hope up in heaven my cousin looks down on me and he says that I make him proud every day. But be yourself.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say is be yourself.
1000%.
And for our younger crew, don't let older men take advantage of you. I know it seems like it's a little alluring, but please stay within your age range and remember that you don't know everything.
Please do. And on top of that, to piggyback off of that, don't think that because you're 18 and I'm an adult now and you're dating a man who's in his 30s and he likes me because I'm mature. No, he doesn't. He likes you because he's a freaking dirty predator. Let's be real.
Yes. And for those of you who are entering 18 and thinking they want to explore sexually, stay out of the bathhouse. Please wait a couple of years.
Yes. And if you are a friend of somebody who is gay, I think all you can really do is support them and be their best friend, really. And honestly, support them with all your heart. Don't be like, I kind of support. You have to support not just them, but also the gay community. Like, I can't just be like, oh, I support my one friend because he's different, quote unquote, different than the rest, right? Like, he's gay. He likes men, okay? And I will support him and I will support his lifestyle. But then I'll support other gay people as well. I'll be like, oh, okay, that's cool. I understand your guys' culture. I understand where you're coming from, because I have been open to, learning that and exploring that. And also, like, as a Middle Eastern woman, I know Middle Eastern countries don't accept gay people, unfortunately.
We'll get there one day.
One day.
I'll go to Dubai safely one day.
And Middle Eastern people aren't really known to accept gay people or gay culture. And that's unfortunately, like, true. However, I think I also grew up with amazing parents and I was blessed with great parents because you've met my parents and
I love your parents.
They love you and they know that you're gay. They've known since day one you were gay and they were like, yeah, that we don't care.
Yeah, I definitely do believe I grew up lucky because I don't have those stories where I look back and I say, oh, this happened because I'm gay. Oh, these people came at me because I'm gay.
Yeah.
There have been, instances and everything, but there is in no way that you can make a biography or a movie about me and my struggle. It's going to be regular struggles. It's going to be regular people's struggles. It's going to be me paying my bills, but nothing about me and gay has caused me a struggle.
Yeah, even like being with like the Middle Eastern community, like
the Middle Eastern community, everyone that I've ever met has been so kind and welcoming to me, as if they're trying to shake their own reputation, as our culture is trying to shake some reputations as well.
Yeah, like the amount of times you've interacted with Assyrians, like I think they've been nothing but nice to you. And my parents, like my dad came from the Middle East when he was 20, and so like I'm like, oh, Dad, he's gay, and he's like, okay, that's cool. That's not my issue. Like,
he's like, why is his car folded in?
No, literally, he came over to my house one day, and I was like, oh, like, Bab, like, because my dad didn't allow, like, guys to come over. I was like, but he's gay.
And then he put me to work.
And then you put him to work, and he goes, okay, I don't get it. Sir, can you help me put up this light, please?
Yes, I helped him put up a light. I helped him put some shelves in your medicine cabinet in your downstairs bathroom. He's like, okay, you have a friend who's man, and he does not want you. He's going to work.
That's literally what happened. And my mom loves him. She's like, yeah, that's cool. Because my mom also grew up in Canada. So she had gay friends, and her story of her friend when he came out as gay, which I think would be interesting to talk about.
I would love to hear that. I love coming out stories. They're always so awkward.
He was an Assyrian guy, and this was back in the 80s. And he was best friends with my mom and her sister. They're only a year apart. And he sat him at a cafe, and my mom's brothers would always say he's gay. Like, we know he's gay. And they didn't have a problem with it. Like, none of them really cared. And he sat my mom and her sister at a cafe. And he's like, I have to tell you guys something. And they're like, okay, what's up? And he goes, I'm gay. And then my mom started laughing because she felt uncomfortable and didn't know how to react. Because when I asked my mom why she started laughing, she goes, because I really didn't think he was gay. But my brothers kept whispering that, dude, he's gay. Like, how do you not see it? And she was laughing because, fuck, they were right.
It's a little embarrassing when they don't pick it up.
Yeah. And then my mom's sister was just like, okay, cool. So do you want a coffee or do you want a tea? Like, and then my mom was like, okay, cool. And he was like, wait, so we're still friends? And then my mom and her sister were just like, yeah, dude, we don't care. What the hell does, like, we really don't care. And then he was like, oh, really? And they're like, yeah, no, we don't care, dude. Like, it doesn't change your character. And he's like, okay, then can I tell you guys something else? And they're like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, I actually have an Assyrian boyfriend.
Oh!
And my mom and my sister were like, oh shit, that's cool. So when are we going to meet him?
So you're telling me a gay man ended up with an Assyrian, but you could not land one?
You sound like my dad now.
You're getting old. You need to get married.
But it just goes to show, like back in the 80s, they were so afraid of like losing their friends, and they had to choose either between themselves or like, am I going to be surrounded by love? And like, thankfully he was surrounded by love, and he had that for him. And then my mom got married and moved to the States, and they didn't have like Facebook back then or like cell phones, and they lost contact, but it was cute that they still remained friends.
Oh, a cute story. My mom had one with her growing up, her friend growing up. He was totally gay. Everyone knew it. He would never say anything about it. And then he joined the Navy, came back queer as a $3 bill.
Okay. I've never heard that before.
And I was actually out at one of our bars. It's called Big Chicks. It's in Old Town. I think it's in Old Town. Big Chicks, cash only bar. I was in this bar and I bump into this guy and I look down. And it's my mom's friend. We're drinking at the same bars.
Oh my gosh.
So therefore, it just goes to show you that being gay preserves your youth.
It really does, especially when you were saying like they're 40 and they're adopting a toddler.
Yeah, they're just getting around to it.
Yeah. So earlier we were discussing how like if you're 18 and you're dating a 30-year-old, that they don't like you because you're mature, quote unquote mature. They like you because they're predators. Like, it's nasty. However, right now you are 26 and your boyfriend is 41, which is, it is a big age difference.
I love how you remember everyone's ages.
Oh, I do.
You sound like my mother now.
What makes you think that now you are at the age to date somebody older than you?
To be candid, when I was 17, I was in a relationship with a man who was 26, and that went on until I was 19, and it was the worst, most horrific thing I ever put myself through.
Yep.
And I do blame our age difference back then for that, because I was totally blinded by everything that was coming my way. I had no resources. I thought I had no resources to deal with what I was dealing with, and I thought it's what I wanted. So for a long time after that, I was a drifter between men. But I always liked older men, but I needed to make sure that if I was going to date one, I needed to know what was going on in my own body, in my own head, in my own mind, so that way I don't get to where I was back then when I was a kid. I dated men my age. I dated plenty of men my age. I dated men a little older. I dated men who were maybe a couple years younger than me, but I just never found the connection I had until I found my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, when I first met him, his Grindr profile didn't have an age on it, and I thought he was 28.
Guys, are you going to insert a picture of your boyfriend? You and your boyfriend? When I first saw his boyfriend, he's like, guess how old he is? I was like, I don't know, like 29. And then he told me his age. He's like, no, he's 40. I was like, I'm sorry, what? And I kid you guys not, like to this day, like when I see his boyfriend, it doesn't like click in my head like that he's 40.
But the physical looks have nothing to do with a person's age. Let's get past that. You know,
Yes.
that's all in all, there's a 15-year age gap between me and my boyfriend. My boyfriend could be my father.
I mean, yeah, if he was 16 and pregnant.
That's what I'm saying. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's not like, he's closer to my mother's age than my age.
That's actually very true.
Yeah. But what's different is that being a little bit older, I found us on a more level playing field.
I agree.
I didn't put myself in a relationship with a person who was manipulating me. I didn't put myself in a relationship with someone who had only their interests in mind. I put myself in a relationship with someone who grew to love me as much as I loved them. And that's something I never had. And that's something you will not have if you are an 18-year-old dating a 30-year-old. These men will go out there. These men will look for twinks, and you are their fantasy. You are the fresh virgin boy that they want to crack into. You are the one they want to change. And then when you are all used up, they will let you go, and they will let you act like it's your fault and your problem.
Yeah.
But being older and having, you know, it's your wisdom. It's how you come out to the world. It's how you think. This is what changes it. I have all these years of experience under my belt now. So I know if there's something that I need to look out for, even to this day, I will always make sure that I'm keeping my best interest at heart.
Yeah.
I was not when I was 17 years old.
Yep. And even as your friend on the receiving end, when you would tell me like stories with like older men, I like didn't really know how to understand them because like, you know, for like women dating a 26-year-old guy, I was like, oh, that's bad. But I was like, but he's gay, so it's different.
And I thought I was weird. I went to therapy a couple of years ago. I went to therapy around COVID time, just like everyone else.
Yeah.
And I asked my therapist, I said, you know,
and his therapist was gay.
My therapist is gay. It's very important to have people who understand you, and that's why I got a gay therapist, so I didn't have to explain being gay to my therapist. So I had a discussion with my therapist. You know, it was one of our calmer days when I didn't feel like talking about trauma. I bet you love those.
Oh, I love those.
So I asked him, I said, you know, I'm really attracted to older men. And I told him a story about a pride parade in which a couple was given paper plates and they wrote their ages on it for a photographer, and he was highlighting age differences. And I asked him, I said, is there, I don't want to like bring someone home to my family and have them feel weird about me bringing home someone who's like potentially in their 50s. I'll be honest. And he said to me that it's actually a very, very common thing for gay couples to have a bit of an age difference. Now, I don't know if this is because it's a whole daddy issues thing or if it's just like a testosterone.
But you don't have daddy issues.
I don't. I love my father, but it's also maybe it's a testosterone of you being the younger man wanting to go for an older man. It's very normal. It's just like one of those urges that we learn to unrepress in our community, I would say. Like we have a running joke that if you're going to go into the club, you're going to find a 21-year-old twink making out with a 50-year-old guy because they're meant to be together. It's just how it goes. You know, really, you see one old man, you say he's going to leave here with that twink, and you're going to have a 30% chance of being right. Otherwise, he's walking out with another twink.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, they're always going to get the twink. That it's a law, basically. It's a law of the gays. The old man always gets the twink, but these twinks usually know what they're doing. They're protecting themselves. Interesting.
So what I'm getting at is that you know that you are okay in this relationship with an older man because you guys are at a level playing field.
Right. And it's important because if you're coming out of high school, 18 years old, you're not even on the same playing field as a mouse on the street. You know nothing about what's out there or what's in this world.
No.
About the monsters that this world breeds.
Yeah.
So don't be so quick to rush into a relationship or a situationship, especially if that person is 10 years your senior.
Yeah. And we're going to do a separate episode of our dating history because
we got a long one.
We've got a long dating history, but it'll be an interesting one. But I think it also goes to show like all of the people that Luke has dated and the stories that have gone along with it. I will have to say that the people that Luke dated when he was 17 and that they were older than him, I never liked them. I actually never liked anybody that Luke dated. There was only one person that I liked that was the same age as him, but Luke didn't like him. And, you know, it's really important for him to like him. But this relationship that he has now seems healthy because they are both understanding of one another. And they're not really that different. Like earlier, your boyfriend is one of those people that like he would have to tell me he's gay. I wouldn't just assume
me too.
He's gay. So I think in that way they really understand one another and understand one another within the gay community. Like you said earlier, you act too gay for your boyfriend sometimes. And he's like, dude, wait, what? And like, because of their personalities within the community mesh so well together, they're able to understand each other and understand each other's boundaries, because I know boundaries is a big thing within the gay community. Like, we were discussing once, like, what is the definition of cheating in the gay community? And he told me, like, within his gay relationship, this is our definition of cheating. But you had another gay friend who had a different definition of cheating. And so that's also very important to have those discussions with your partner, whether you're gay or straight, but especially in the gay community, because I know it can be drastically like different, like day and night.
Oh yes. People seem to have this conception that we're very polyamorous in the gay community.
Yes.
While that may be true, monogamy is still something that a lot of gay men value, and that's how they want their relationships to be led.
Yeah.
However, they may just not want to be monogamous until, they've had their fill of life, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there isn't. Well, thank you so much for sharing today.
Of course. I hope I get to talk about it more. I love to preach.
Yeah. And we hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Please do not forget to leave us a 5-star rating if you are listening to this on a podcast streaming platform. If you are watching this on YouTube, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you all so much for listening to our video today. Please feel free to comment on this video, to go ahead and comment on our Instagram at Shameless in Chicago. And we thank you guys so much for joining us. And until the next time, everyone.
Please join us next time, as Nen is a special guest host and judge on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh my gosh! Dreams come true!
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.